Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Roses Are Black podcast. Today, we'll be discussing Black cinema, focusing on three films, Love Jones, Love and Basketball, and Brown Sugar. And I have a wonderful panel today, some of my closest friends. So ladies, please introduce yourself and also let us know, out of the three, what's your favorite film and why? Starting with Tyra.
Hi guys, my name is Tyra. My favorite of the three films is going to be Love Jones. And I want to say it's because of like the jazz kind of background that it has and the poetry and everything. So that's probably why it's going to be my favorite movie.
Okay.
Right. Hello, everyone. My name is India, and my favorite movie out of the three has to be Love and Basketball. That's been my favorite movie since I first watched it. And I think it's because the two of them, like they grew up together, the relationship they built as young kids, hating each other and then growing up as friends and then falling in love. I feel like it's so realistic, with your high school sweetheart type of thing. And I just kind of related to that. And I just love the relationship they have with each other and how it's grown. And so I think that's why that's my favorite.
Hey y'all, my name is Jasmine. My favorite movie of the three is Love Jones. And I think it's because, I think I relate to that movie, maybe a little too much, but we'll talk about it later. I just think that movie was very realistic. I could see myself in various characters, so that's why it's my favorite movie.
Hey everybody, my name is Travia. Out of all the movies, I have to give it to Brown Sugar for one reason and one reason only: hip hop. The connection that Black African Americans can make through hip hop is really powerful. And I believe the movie has done a great job capturing that.
All right. And I'm your host, Roz. And like the real ones, my favorite is Love Jones as well. I think I really do relate to the character Nina a lot. And that probably isn't the best too because of some of her actions, but yeah. And also me being a poet, I just really related to the artistic realm of the movie. So, might as well start with the best first. So going into Love Jones, Tyra, tell me what's your favorite scene from Love Jones?
I'm going to agree with you, Roz. Yeah, Nina was messing up in some of those scenes. We can get to that point later. My favorite scene is when Darius, it was early on in the movie, and he had already met her at the club, and he was trying to get her, he was trying to court her. So he showed up at her house, and I'm gonna be honest, this day and age, I wouldn't suggest anybody doing that. Because the way he got her phone number and address, I was like, yeah, that's a little scary for a movie. I guess it's real cute though. But when he showed up at her house, I thought that was just like, okay, this is a really nice scene. And I enjoyed it more so because I'm gonna be honest, I like the chase. I need to know that you want me. I need to know that. So you showed up at my door. That's real cute. I don't know if I would actually enjoy somebody doing that in real life though. I thought it was nice for the movie. So that was my favorite scene.
Yeah, that was definitely a little creepy, but it did show persistence, It's like, okay, he wasn't taking no for an answer. I guess too, she was feeling him, but so that kind of helped if it was just like some random person that you met one time and he was like, excuse me, sir. But yeah, okay. I rock that. My favorite scene is when they went dancing. That was just a whole vibe. But okay, so the thing about Love Jones though, that a lot of people like critique it for is because technically they weren't in a relationship the whole time, like a committed relationship. And it was very on and off. So do you feel like Love Jones gives false hope to situationships? Anybody can answer that?
Well, I'll go ahead and answer. I think being that it was back in the day, a lot of us maybe can't relate to that time period because we weren't here. But I can say that it does if we're thinking about nowadays and situationships and stuff like that. But it kind of made you feel like that you're going to go back to that person. Y'all are going to find some time or the perfect time to get back together or make it work. And that's not always the case. So I definitely think it does give false hope. And it was kind of cute. It made you actually wish that they were to get back together and find a way to make it happen. But like I said, that doesn't always happen in real life. So it definitely does give false hope to real life situations.
I agree, India. I almost think like he was very thoughtful, and I'm not going to shade anyone, but I just haven't seen any situationships that go that far and just like what he did for her.
I think it's a little bit of yes and no. And I'm going to say, no, it doesn't, because it's not like they just seamlessly went from situationship to we're going to be in a committed relationship. Like they did go through some things during that time, which is realistic, but also most situationships are not going to go like that. Do not be out here confessing your love and feelings to everybody you have a good time with.
Right.
So yeah, it's a little bit of yes and no.
I'm gonna have to give it a no, and I think that's I'm sorry. I think it was very realistic in the depiction. Like they were getting to know each other. They weren't really sure in the very beginning, but then again, I feel like that's kind of contradictory because I think they both knew that ultimately they wanted to be with each other from the jump. I just think kind of circumstances didn't allow for it initially. And I think she was trying to give hope to the other situation that she had prior to being with Darius. And she wasn't really sure if she wanted to actually be with him. But in the end, I was just like, I don't think it gives false hope though.
See, I think that part of it, or that point that you made, is what makes it realistic, because situations or circumstances that may arise, we realize like, okay, we can't be with that person right now. But nowadays, it's like, although we know that we can't be with that person because of our circumstances, that's when the toxic comes in, and we still try to make it work when we know it's not working. So I feel like in that aspect, the movie was kind of given like a reality of like, this is what should happen when you know you can't make it work. Try to like figure it out on your own and see if y'all come back together, but we don't do that.
I agree. I was watching it the other day again once we decided we were going to do this, and I was like, this would never happen today, because the first time when she went to New York, that would have been it. There would have been no trying again. Even if we really like each other, like it would have been over at that point.
I feel like it kind of depends on the connection. Like I think looking at the movie, it is kind of like, okay, it kind of gives you that hopeless romantic feel. But I think like in real life, it just depends on the connection, because there are other people who might say that they started out in a situationship and then they ended up with the person. And then there are other situations where it's like, now you got a broken heart, but like that was really never really your man. So who's to blame? But speaking of like how Nina moved through things, Jazz, do you feel like it was hypocritical for her to like really be pressing him about the girl he was messing with when they were apart, when she full out went to New York to see her ex and then was messing with his homeboy Wood for a little minute?
It was hypocritical, and it was selfish, because we've been doing this thing, and then you were just like, oh, I'm going to be gone. I don't know how long I'm going to be gone. I'm trying to tie up some loose ends with my last relationship. So she should not have expected any, what am I looking for? Any commitment from here during that time. But also, this is the part where I said I relate to Nina a little too much, because that was very Jasmine-like. But she was selfish. It was selfish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I feel like too, it just goes back to her having trust issues, because clearly like her previous relationship really had her like on the edge, which is why she was apprehensive to even go there with Darius in the first place.
I don't know what the boyfriend name was, but he was garbage. Okay.
And Marvin sound like an ain't shit nigga if we just
we're going on a train to
Marvin.
Oh man, no, not Marvin.
And then here, then when she get there, why you eat up all my cereal?
Right. But anyway, well, so India, you know, Miss Love and Basketball, what's your favorite scene from Love and Basketball?
Well, that is a very loaded question, because I definitely
The
have
whole movie.
The whole movie, you know, I'm sitting here like, oh my God. So definitely I have a lot of different favorite scenes, but the one that tops it off, of course, because, you know, I love love. My favorite part, they just got back home from the dance, and she wanted to open the letter that she just received in the mail, but of course she needed her best friend to open it with her. So she gave him the letter and he opened it, and he saw, they saw they were going to the same college, and then they had sex, and it was just great. That was a great scene.
Right. And it was the start of their like grown up relationship because they had dated when they was kids.
Right.
That
was a great little part to start the real action of the movie.
Right. Well, fast forward into when they get to college. So, he didn't feel supported or whatever, like after he found out that his dad cheated and his parents were getting a divorce. And so he started acting a little, wild or whatever. So the scene where Monica goes to his room and old girl pops up.
Ooh.
And they go to lunch. I just feel like if you were put in that situation, like, how would you feel and how would you react?
So, there's old India and then there's like new becoming India. So I feel like, as all women, something like that happened to you, especially when you think that y'all got something going on and, y'all have known each other for so long, finally in this new relationship and trying to make it work, that hurts. So of course, you might have that crazy mentality, but I feel like now I probably would realize like, he needs to figure his life out. He needs to figure himself out. I don't think that that's something that I deserve, something that I should be a part of. He got a lot going on. They're in college. Again, figuring your life out. So I probably would have just walked away and let him know, like, you got a lot of things you need to get together. And when you can figure that out and the circumstances are better, like we spoke in Love Jones, I feel like maybe we can make it happen. But right now it's not working. So,
but would you break up with him or were you telling him to take space?
I probably would tell him to take some space and figure out what it is that he wants. And if he feels like he wants to play around and experience other women, then that's it. We can break up. We can let it be that. Try to be mature about it. I don't know if I would really do this, but this is what I
I'm like, girl, that sounded very mature.
Yeah, that's nice.
You can take it by yourself because you're not about to have a woman in my face saying we're going to go eat and then, do you want to go?
Because now I'm finna text your friend and we finna be at lunch together, all four of us.
Right.
Like I said, old India.
That scene always kind of irritated me a little bit because then like the next scene when he breaks up with her, I'm like, hold up. That's not what we're doing here. I mean,
this pissed me off a lot.
I feel like the third party wasn't necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the friend kind of hyped it a little bit. He's sitting on the couch like, oh shit, something about to happen.
It's messy. That's an example that men are more messy than women. Because I wouldn't have done it. I would have been looking out for my roommate like, he not here right now. Or she not here, because it would be girls. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she not here right now. Like, come back later. Okay, so Black Twitter, past few years, I guess, and now that we're older, because I feel like, of course, these movies came out either when we were babies or like, we didn't grow up when these movies were like fresh, but we've still grown up on them or whatever because they're classic. But I feel like when I was younger, my perspective has changed, now than when I used to watch it maybe like in high school or middle school. So a lot of people feel like Love and Basketball actually like isn't as fairy tale-esque as like you're saying it is for you or whatever. So I just want to know, like, do y'all feel like Love and Basketball exemplifies struggle love? Like, did Monica have to suffer too much for her happy ending?
So when I watched it as a kid, I definitely thought like I would never, play myself like this. You think this is crazy. I did think it was struggle love. Like this was too much. But watching it as an adult, like relationships be like that sometimes. Should they be like that? No. She was reaching too much. It was too much chasing from you, But it happens. So I don't want to say it was struggle love. It was just, everybody goes through those relationships sometimes. Was it great? No.
And that's where my opinion differs because as a child, I definitely was like, oh, this is just so wonderful. This is beautiful. Everything about the movie was absolutely fantastic until I grew up and I was like, okay, either you want me or you don't. Either we're going to make this work or we're not. I'm not going to continue to revisit your block because that's just not who I am. So you're going to have to come correct the first time, because I definitely do believe with guys, like, you give them the opportunity. For some reason, it doesn't click for them. Then you walk away and then, oh, now they want to talk to you and you on to the next thing. I got to look backwards. Who wants to do that? Not me. So with the movie, it definitely is like, okay, y'all need to make a decision. If not, then move on. It was a beautiful ending, but I just hate that she had to go through all that, and him too, for it to work out.
I definitely agree, Trey. I do agree with everything you're saying. I think that's why, like I said, that's like, old India, new India, how I react. And I think that's like younger me and more mature me. And I'm realizing like maybe women shouldn't have to go through that to experience that happy ending at the end. But at the same time, I feel like we also have to look at what he was going through. And this was something that he wasn't used to. Like, his parents, all he knew was his parents was happy and they were this great marriage that he looked up to. And that's what he probably wanted to be when he grew up. And that just all of a sudden wasn't that anymore. And so I think he was struggling a lot on the inside himself, and he had to figure that out. And I think, sometimes, even though, it's still not right, and the things that they do to try to get over what it is they just might have experienced may not be right to us, but we may have to be a little patient and realize, like, he's battling a lot within himself. And, she really loved him. So I think she kind of just put that aside and let it be that, and knew that he was going to come out of it better. I don't know, maybe, but
I mean, you're giving a lot of grace. I mean, that's always lovely, but hey, it just is what it is for me.
It's life.
It's another.
It is like, so we realize that a lot with men, and sometimes it's either we're going to just let them do that on their own and realize that we deserve more, or we may actually like give them some time and let them figure it out and come back to them. Just depends on the woman.
I also think it's an age thing, because they were in high school, early college, so it kind of was.
They grew up together, so I feel like it's definitely a coming of age film, which is why I still feel like it's a beautiful love story, because I mean, things are going to happen. It's not going to be perfect. In any relationship, especially that withstands a period of time, you're going to have tests and trials. I also feel like it kind of showed how like your parents and like your upbringing also affects relationships. Because even with Monica, she didn't feel accepted or seen by her mother. So she was always like vying for attention. So I also feel like that's why she was chasing Quincy so much. It's like I want somebody to actually see me and like value me. And then you have those moments when, like, even the scene where he talks about how many points she got in the game, something like that. And she was like, oh, you pay attention? Like little things like that kind of, I feel like, stuck out to her. So I feel like that's also why she did. But also sometimes it's just like, I guess like the saying, if you love somebody, let them go. And if it's meant to be, they'll return. I feel like that's also what Love and Basketball, but that's what all the movies show, really. But I feel like that was a prime example of that, because so much happened like when they weren't together, but they still in the end ended up together. So, he was wrong, but he was hurting. So I'll give him a little hurt people, I guess.
This much.
Get that whole concept, but
it's gonna hurt them other girls.
I mean, at least it was hurt too. Okay to not agree to. Like, at the end of the day, what your boundaries are, those are your boundaries. If you can't live with something, don't stay. I'm always here for that.
There it is, folks. Boom.
Alrighty, so Brown Sugar got a soft spot in my heart too, Trey, because I also really love hip hop, and I just love how they parallel love and hip hop, the whole movie, Love and Hip Hop. But what's your favorite scene from Brown Sugar?
Well, I mean, I will have to give it towards the end where Dre and Sid were in the hotel, and Dre was just trying to reminisce on, things of their past and their childhood, growing up together, walking the streets of New York, listening to live MCs. And the way that he was talking about their love, he was like comparing it to hip hop. And so he was using their love and hip hop interchangeably. He said to Sid, like, listen again. I just want you to listen again. And I think he said, you're the perfect verse over the tight beat. And I was just like, oh, yes, honey, that is it right there. But the whole movie is just, oh my, it's just, we can talk about that. But that was definitely one of my favorite scenes because they both were vulnerable. And Sid even made a very life-changing decision to even break up with her fiance, where she ended up seeing Dre back with his temporarily. So it just was a scene that was just so vulnerable on both parties.
For sure. Brown Sugar is definitely like an easy watch too. Like it's just a feel good movie. Okay, so of course, Dre did end up getting married to someone else in the beginning. Of course, they got a divorce later on. But like, if you knew you were in love with your best friend and you felt like your best friend is also in love with you, are you letting them walk down the aisle to someone else?
No.
I think that's difficult to say though. I don't know, because that's kind of hard. Like he met that girl, they fell in love, and I don't think they.
I just feel like I thought that relationship was very opportunistic. Like it just seemed right. He wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't. But I don't think either one of them wanted to admit that they had feelings for each other, because they were just like, oh, we've been best friends for this long. What if it doesn't work? And that's always a reality. Like when you're dating somebody who you've been friends with and y'all have this relationship that y'all have been nurturing for so long, what if this does not work?
Yeah,
if we quit and I lose a friend?
And I agree with that, Tyra, but there's also like a factor of taking risk. It depends on your comfortability with risk. Like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I can tell him how I feel, or he can marry this other woman. But if he marries this other woman, at least I told him how I felt first, and I'm not living with regret. Which I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to say if Sid lived with regret, because she had that cousin of hers to hold her accountable.
So we love that cousin, honey.
Oh yes. And I don't understand why she didn't push her a little bit further at the wedding. I would have pushed her out in the aisle, like, girl, if you don't run up there and tell him no, he is not gonna marry this woman.
Not at the wedding.
Yeah, that's disrespectful.
During the ceremony.
Right. No, yes, okay, maybe I won't be that bold, but I think it does have that aspect of boldness. And if you are actually like bold enough to tell that person, like Trey just said, like letting them know your heart and how you actually feel, because you may be letting them leave for the rest of your life. And you won't get that opportunity.
Because what if they didn't get divorced? Then of course she ended up getting engaged, but now y'all both in marriages and y'all not really happy.
I think a lot of people did.
And that was crazy that they stayed friends though, because if I did let my best friend marry somebody else and I was in love with them, I'm not coming to your wedding. I'm not coming to the
she went to the bridal shower.
Yeah, no.
No, I agree. I also feel like the night before the wedding, when they kissed, that should have been a wrap. Like Dre should have been like, what am I doing?
Because she asked him, she was like, are you sure you want to do this? And he was like,
he's a coward.
Dre was goofy as hell.
He is a coward. He knew what he wanted, but he let it walk away. Well, he walked right out the damn door.
But you know what, India? I feel like
he was afraid though. Maybe he was afraid of Sid because, and no shade to Reese, but Sid was a different type of woman. Like maybe he was like, am I even equipped for this type of woman? Like,
yeah.
He might have thought
when you've known somebody. I was gonna say, when you've known somebody so deeply on just a friendship level, and now like you don't give the same to your friendships that you do in your relationship, if that makes sense. Especially when you look at the time frame, it's just different. So he might have been scared. I agree, he was scared of Sid.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, any other last thoughts? All right. Yes, it is. So I want everybody to answer this, and it doesn't have to be pertaining to the movies, but it can be. But what do you feel makes Black love so special?
I would have to say that bringing up the whole struggle love, I mean, it can be looked at as a good thing or maybe terrible, but I feel like as a Black woman and a Black man, like you're able to understand each other's struggle, how we were raised, what we, like just all those different aspects of being Black. I feel like you can take that to another level when you're loving each other. You're loving from an understanding, and it's deeper inside and not just someone trying to make you understand what you've been through in your life. You actually have that experience most likely firsthand in some type of way, or you just feel it in a different level. So I feel like that love it's different. It's on a deeper level. And then of course there's other aspects of Black culture that you also understand, that you can have that connection with that person. But the love just comes from more of a deeper connection, I feel as though, and that just makes the love a lot deeper.
Mhm. I agree with India, that level of understanding amongst Black people, like Black people across the diaspora, we all have this connection to each other that just can't be matched with another demographic. And it's just magic, you know?
I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think the ability for somebody to say like I see you, I think that's really like at the heart of Black love, is because like you guys were saying, we go out into this world and we have to hide ourselves so many times. And then once you get with like the person that you're supposed to be with and they just compliment you in that way and they're just like, you know what, aside from everything else, I see who you are. I think that's just a beautiful part of Black love.
And to add on to that, I think just Black people in general, we know how to motivate and encourage each other. Like if we look back in history, leading movements, we've always been encouraging each other to reach greater heights. And I think that when Black people get together, business moves, money moves. I mean, it's just no limit to what we can do. So that's definitely a beautiful piece, a part of it too.
I agree with all of that. I think, you know, the way you love talks to who you are. So just the essence of Black people, it just hits different, you know? It's just, it makes me feel warm inside. We have our own language. Because even like when I think about just like even going to work, the code switching, like being able, and even just living in the world, kind of like you said, Tyra, like a lot of times we're not accepted for who we are. When I come home, I deserve to be seen. I deserve to be nurtured in that way. I deserve to be vulnerable, especially like as a Black woman. That's so important. And there's also like all the Black beautiful couples that I get to see in my life, my parents, my grandparents. It's like, I can't even envision not being with a Black man because I love him. But I really appreciate y'all for coming on today. This was really great. Can we do a little cheers? To Black love and prosperity, to being beautiful, to Black History Month, the month of love, all of that great jazz, to abundance because we deserve it. Period. Cheers.
Period.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Great, go ahead and hold up.
Yo, leftover water, honey. That's it.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode for Roses Are Black. I hope you enjoyed, and also make sure you check out the Black Cinema Collection on araisin.com. Bye.
Bye.